Super Paper Mario. Probably the most mixed title in the series. This adventure takes Mario running through a whole new dimension to stop a lovesick homie who wants everything dead since he lost his girl. After getting inspired by another runner of Paper Mario doing a challenge run like this one, I thought it'd be fun to do my own version of it. So today, I present to you the Super Paper Mario No-Hit Challenge Run. The rules are simple. Don't get hit. Nothing more, nothing less. I will be allowing the use of staves. 1, because I'm not insane, and 2, I wish I had time to do single segment runs of this game. I've also decided to not do any grinding, as not only would that be boring to watch, it would also just be boring to do. As a bonus challenge, I decided to also not use items, just because why not? With nothing else to really mention, let's go ahead and start the game. 1-1. Honestly, your basic standard stuff. Pretty easy. However, the game only really starts once you get your flipping ability for Mario. If you've played this game before, you would know that flipping into 2D to 3D gives you this little bar on the top. Every 2 seconds, the bar starts to tick down, and when it's completely empty, you'll take damage. This means for once in my life, I have to respect the bar and wait for it to recharge in order to use 3D. Other than that, 1-1 is the first level indeed. 1-2. If I'm being completely honest, this is easier than the first level. Just take the shortcut at the beginning and head straight to the town. The only thing we really need to do now is obtain Throw, which takes no effort. All you have to do is 3D in this room. And if I'm being real, once you get them, the level's over. 1-3. Just like in 1-2, half the level can be skipped by just jumping at the tree early. Other than that, the level's pretty easy. Until we get to one part. We now have to face off against O-Chunks as the first boss in the game. He can do one of 2 things. First, he'll try to jump and ground pound you when you're far away from him. Or, if you're close, will attempt to grab you with the most janky grab box of all time. Seriously, this is just Smash 4 Pivot Grab Bowser. If it just had more range at the top for no reason. Well, the best thing to do is to just chain grab him with Throw in the corner and jump on him repeatedly. He should go down eventually after a few jumps, really. And after a silly puzzle, the level is over. 1-4. This is easily the hardest level by far. Most of the area is closed tight spaces with enemies. Using Throw, we can grab them and throw them away from us when they come down from the ceiling. A few firebar rooms look impossible, but if you just use 3D, you're perfectly fine. 3D really is the most useful thing. We just really need to wait for the bar to fill up sometimes. Once we get to the end, we now have to fight Dragon DXE. This is a very simple boss. Just jump on him and throw stuff at his antenna. He will try to circle you off, but you can just jump back on him, and after 3 cycles, he pretty much goes down. And with that, Pure Heart 2 is in our possession. Afterwards, we return and attain Peach in the meantime. Peach is quite more useful in this run due to a few things. Her glide makes jumps much more easy and safe, and she has the ultimate defense weapon by hiding in her parasol. While hiding, Peach is invulnerable to basically everything, but the only thing about it, if she jumps on something, she will unhide. Nevertheless, Peach is literally broken, and we'll be using her for a lot of fights. 2-1. Gloomy Valley is kinda like 1-1 but a bit more hard. Nothing too special till near the end. First you have this weird eyeball thing you have to kill, and then this gives us Boomer. Boomer is one of the best pixels in the game, as it allows us the use of bombs. Bombs have a huge attack radius, do double damage, and you can pretty much spam them while hiding with Peach. This is going to be our main attack against most foes and bosses. Once Boomer is gotten, open the way forward and the level is over. 2-2. The shortest level in the game. Just dodge the spikes in the spike room and you're all done. A side note in this level, the gips in the level can't even hurt you. Not even the one tied to the door. 2-3. Literally just as short as the last stage. Grab Slim and cheat your way to the safe. That's it. Next. 2-4. The hardest level in the chapter. This is a maze that for the life of me can't seem to remember where to go. There are some really dangerous things in here like a few bats, lamps, and boos just to name a few. Once you get to the Mimi fight, stall a tiny bit before attacking so you don't bonk off of her. Mimi is a literal joke compared to all the bosses so far. You can easily stun lock her and she poses no threat once you get the first hit in. And there you go, Pure Heart 3 is now ours. With nothing really to do around town, it's time to move on to Chapter 3. 3-1. Once Tippy is gone, not that you really need her anyway, you can honestly skip most of the level with the Peach hover over to this pipe over the red pipes. After that, say hello to my least favorite enemy in the game. The Koopa Strikers! This guy kicks shells at you and is just generally a massive threat. However, they are also massively stupid and are prone to kicking themselves dead. Once you get past Bowser's army, you have to fight the Koopa King himself, and as long as you never get near him by throwing Boomer towards him, he should not have a chance. After a silly cutscene, Bowser joins us. Bowser is the definition of a double-edged sword. He possesses a ranged fire attack and deals double damage on everything. However, he has the worst movement of all three characters, and more importantly, he's really big and tall, so he is more prone to getting hit than the others. While we can fix the movement problem later on, the size issue is something that we can't, so we need to play very carefully if we decide to play as him. 3-2, a boring water level. While we can't defeat most of the enemies without Bowser, Mario in 3D works best to avoid everything. Bowser is needed to get Dudley, which isn't very useful outside of an impossible to do speedrunning trick. Once in the 3D fish room, it's time to fight our mini-boss, Blooper. The gimmick with him is that he can only be hurt by hitting his red tentacle, and the only one that can do this is Bowser. The biggest problem is that this room is insanely cramped, so it's very easily to fling yourself into a tentacle, but it's not impossible. After that, the level is pretty much done. 3-3. This level is a massive annoyance. The first part, you have to climb up a tree with the camera not showing you what is above you at all, with these guys that go over on the wall. Then when you get to the inside, you not only have to deal with more wall guys, but daisies as well, with an annoying projectile. There are also some mini rooms with spikes and stuff, but they aren't too bad. Once we unlock the door, we can continue and meet up with Dementio, who challenges us for the first time. I'll be honest, Dementio is probably the only real hard boss in this game out of the main trio of villains. He hovers around and shoots magic at you, can make magic squares, and can split in two and confuse you. Thing is though, Peach's guard is unfazed by any of them. When he shoots, block it and immediately hit him for some damage. If he is too high up for you to hit him, then grab him and throw him into the corner to reliably damage him. There's no tell for when he splits, so just guess and hope he doesn't snipe you. And for the squares, just hit him before you can make them all. After about a few dozen hits, he should go down with no issue. However, this is still the hardest boss by far. Now, if you thought the level was done yet, let me just tell you, it's not. We now have to get to the top of the room to get to the Red Wind. Giant problem is there are off-screen Spinies and a Lagartue throwing some, and you have no idea how many times I had to restart because the camera sucks in this room and doesn't show you anything above you. After about half a dozen tries, we can finally finish this really stupid level. 3-4. Francis's castle is quite long but simple when you know what to do. I went ahead and got Carrie early so I didn't have to do it later. Carrie is another top tier pixel next to Boomer. She allows faster movement to everyone, immunity to spikes, and makes Bowser able to use fire in the air. She's a very good pick for general use. As for the castle itself, the first room is easy with Carrie. The second room is very annoying because of these flying robots, and there are a ton of them. Just ignore them and run past with Carrie. With both keys, we can get into Francis's room, and after the infamous Peach cutscene, we battle him. Francis is an annoying waiting game. He hides using invisibility, and we can only hit him when he's not. He also has a lot of sneak attacks as well, like a long-range tongue attack that you can just jump over, a camera that does nothing, and can summon robots for backup that explode after a while. The tongue is the only threatening move he has, and with a dozen or so hits, he goes down. And there you go. Pure Heart number 4. After grabbing Barry for a sec, it's finally time to start Chapter 4, 4-1. After getting Squirps, the level turns into one of those shoot-em-ups. You have full movement in any direction, and nothing is really in 3D in the level. Plus on top of that, you have a rapid-fire weapon that makes quick work of everything. This is honestly the easiest level in Chapter 4. 4-2. This level is long and it's full of stuff that can easily get you. First are these long white dudes with their disjointed hitboxes. This thing that can teleport and confuse you, and while the Megastar section isn't bad at first, you soon realize that the path is too long before the star runs out, and long-range boomboxes will try to nab a free hit on you. Even in the next room, there are more of them, so this turned out to be the most recent heavy level yet. And let me remind you, this level is really long. Once you get the paper, you can just backtrack to the beginning, and once we get Fleep, we can just burn our way to the end. Very annoying level this was. 4-3. This is just like 4-1, another Shump stage. As long as you avoid these rotating rectangles, you should have no trouble beating the level. Side note, make sure to get the chocolate before interacting with the doors so you can keep Squirps with you. I don't even want to imagine doing this part without him. 4-4. Ah yes, the Woe Zone. A confusing mess of a level. If you know what you're doing, this level isn't that bad. Some enemies like the Tilewites and the Piggies are annoying, but aren't impossible with good movement and good boomer use. Once at the end, it's time to fight the one and only Mr. L. He attacks similar to you, trying to jump on you, but he's completely trivial with Bowser and Carrie. If you just jump and breathe fire, he will never get close to you since the fire will knock him back and he goes down in record time. Phase 2 is the final shmup stage, and it's easy. As long as you never get close to him and grab every power-up, you can spam the 2 button when you get the chance and defeat him in also record time. With that, the 5th Pure Heart is ours for the taking. Other than buying the shortcut in Flopside, there really isn't anything else to do there. So now it's time for Chapter 5. 5-1. Land of Kragnons is honestly not hard. It's just a TDYD backtracking level. Unless you know everything beforehand like I do. The mushroom is annoying. It's hard to get past them, but you can 3D the whole room. But they can also get in the way of putting in the code. After that, level done. 5-2. Gap of Crag is another easy level if you know what to do. 3D in the water for the first tablet. Make sure to not wake up the Clubbas and grab the fire tablet. And now we need the last one, which is guarded by Dementio and Ochunks. Ochunks fights us again, but honestly, same verse as the first. The only thing to note is that now we are in Dementio's arena. He has a new spin move, and sometimes he CPU mashes out of grabs now, but he's really the same. After that, we can grab the final tablet, grab Kludge, and beat the level. 5-3. This is a very easy and boring level, and I honestly have nothing else to say about it. You mostly go in 3D in the main room, ride minecarts for an hour, and backtrack to the beginning. That's it. Skip. 5-4. The final level is honestly very confusing at first. We first need to go underground to this pipe and grab a key, but this place is quite dangerous. It has enemies in cramped places and not a whole lot of room to move. Bowser can take out most of them, but make sure you're far enough away. Getting the key, we can get Dottie now. Dottie is actually a useful pick for this challenge. Aside from the small hurt box, enemies will not notice us and we can slip by. Of course, it's very hard to fight with tiny hitboxes and to see yourself in general, so it's best in a spot where enemies will non-stop be targeting you. Remember, running away is a valid tactic. With Dottie, we can go and grab the card and enter the factory, where we meet Dementio and Ochunks again, and you have to fight Ochunks again. Not sure why we couldn't have just fought Dementio again, but whatever. This is the same exact fight as the other 2 fights we just had. I don't think he does anything different even, aside from having more HP. And after Marth chain grabbing him a 3rd time, we take his spout, and now we can enter the throne room. King Crocus is quite a fight. Phase 1 has him using flower trapezoids to attack. They are very easy to avoid, and we can actually grab and throw them back for easy damage. Sometimes he will do a screen cover attack, but I just use Slim to dodge. After enough hits, Phase 2 starts. He will split up his flowers and use them as blade projectiles. Projectiles that we can just pick up and throw at him, meaning that any difficulty in this fight is just gone. After enough flowers, he goes down on the first try and we get Pure Heart 6. Okay, here we go. After putting the heart in, I took the time to go and grab Piccolo, the last pixel I'm grabbing for this challenge. Piccolo only usually has one use: to play music and cure status ailments. Of course, since we're not getting ailmented, she has no use. For now. We will be using her for one thing later on, but for now, it's time to start the most infamous chapter in the game. Samuro Kingdom is one of the most boring chapters of all time. It's like Glitzville without any downtime or story between fights. But for this challenge, it becomes a nightmare. We have to pass 20 of the 100 gates to move on with the story, and some of them are pretty brutal. Now most of the time you can just breathe fire and auto-win some, but most others are tricky. Most notably, Gate 3 is when the blue dudes show up. The only difference is that they can jump, and then they can jump over beginning of Bowser's fire for a free hit, so I mainly use Peach for her guarding ability, and Boomer for double damage and baiting. Gate 10 is the first mini-boss, and these dudes are jerks. They have a roll attack that sucks to dodge, have long range, and for me specifically, like to trap me in the corner. But with a little bit of luck, I managed. Gate 13 has the Wi-Fi dudes. These dudes shoot a projectile that can snipe you, so extra caution is needed for this guy. Barry is an okay choice since he can reflect them back at him. Now, if you thought this was hard, you haven't seen true evil yet. Meet the devil himself, the guard of the 18th gate, Small Man. Now, Small Man, I believe, has like 1 HP, so you only have to hit him once. The problem? Good freaking luck hitting him! This man literally moves at sonic speed. I did get lucky and landed an overhead jump somehow, but thank God I'm past that guy. Now I just need to not die on the second mini-boss. Oh, cool, he trapped me in the corner again. But after stalling for a minute, I get a lucky hit and he goes down. 6-1 is done. Thank God. 6-2. Mimi is the sole boss here in her normal form and is quite a foe. She likes to rain down rubies from everywhere and snipe you, but you can throw them back at her for safe and cheap damage. Just remember to guard her sweep attack and you'll beat her in no time. After the world dies like it should, and we experience the best level design of all time, we fight Mr. L again and his robot. Any difficulty this fight had is gone with Peach and Boomer. His attacks are slow and easy to kill. Peach just straight up is immune to his laser. Boomer cancels his suck attack, and with the amount of damage you're doing, it comes down to a simple and easy boss. And with that, we take half a heart to half a heart, and Dementio does what any homie would do and kills us. Now we are in the underwear. This place only really has one danger area at first. After getting the key from the Queen, we can dive down the Underworld River, which, while very intimidating, in 3D, nothing can actually hurt you. After a long puzzle, we gain Luigi finally. Sadly, Luigi is just kinda like Mario with no 3D. However, his super jump makes him invincible to her duration, so that's something to note down for the remaining bosses. Luigi's not bad per se. He's just gotten so late in the game that he's only really useful for like 3 levels and a pick for few bosses. Using Luigi, we can make it to Love Bee, return to Flipside with our half a heart or full heart, and put it in the pillar and send us to 7-1. Which is where we just were. So we guess we can just skip to 7-2. 7-2. This level has a darkness gimmick, so just take it slow. There are many things in the darkness that can snipe you off screen. After the first quiz, we need to fight Bowser again. This fight is much easier than the last one due to our increased options. Bowser can do one of 2 things, breathe fire or do a dash attack. Anyway, remember Fleep? Never really talked about him because he didn't really have a use besides progression. Fleep can spin objects and reveal hidden things. However, he can also spin most enemies and distract them from moving. For some reason, this also applies to Bowser, even though he is counted as a boss, and even have a special animation for it. So the plan is very simple. Spin him with Fleep, quickly switch to Boomer, and blow him up. With this, Bowser comes down to being a literal joke. With Bowser back on our side, the level becomes much easier. If you rush through and fire everything, you shouldn't have an issue. And after doing the level pretty much twice, we can reach the final door no problem. We have to do battle against the Underchomp, but this isn't just a normal fight. This is like the only RPG-like fight in the game. Yeah, it plays like all those old RPG games. Anyway, remember Piccolo? That pixel I wasted time getting even though she didn't really help me? Yeah, now it's the time for her to be useful. If we use her, we can put them all to sleep for 2 turns. The thing about it is that we can stun lock them into sleeping forever. Dudley plus Bowser would easily one-shot them and finish the job, leading to a free clean win. After that, the level is done. 7-3. Just like 5-3, I have really nothing to say about 7-3 as a whole. He climbs in clouds, the camera sucks balls, wake up Peach, and ride Cloud to Chapter 4 and back. That's it. Level's over. Some enemies here and there, but you can just avoid them all with Dottie. 7-4. Just like 7-3, I have nothing to say about this level as a whole. Either do Rainbow Bridge skip for 48 hours, or find the 3 guys, get their orbs, and come back. If you do the latter, some enemies are very annoying, but 3D and Lottie can help avoid them all. killed the bitrate, and now we can fight the boss. Bone Chill is the easiest boss in the whole series. Just super jump once, stun lock his head. Congratulations, you win! Watch Love Bee turn from a teen to heart, and now we have all the hearts. With all of the hearts in place, we can now finally go to Castle Bleck and finish the game. (8-1). These levels amp up the difficulty a bit. All different types of enemies show up everywhere, so prepare for the worst. Good thing is that they're all mostly in 3D, so we can bypass them all with enough meter and Dottie. We also need to find a key at first as Peach, and in this room we have the return of the Koopa Strikers. Just defend until they murder themselves and grab the key. And after more 3Ding, we do a torch puzzle. And now we have our 4th encounter with O-Chunks. Due to story reasons, we only have Bowser with us, but we can still use Pixels. While we can Morph Chain grab him again, reminder that we're playing as Bowser, and let's just say, Bowser grabs have never been good pre-Smash 4. Not that we need it. Bowser Carry absolutely destroys this man anyway. Most of his attacks are melee based, and his only projectile not only comes out slow, but can also be destroyed. With Bowser dead, but not really, we head to the next level. 8-2. After more 3Ding, we come across Mimi, who tricks us into doing more level, and after a fireball room, we get the key and move on. More 3Ding later, and we go into a pit to get another key, and now we do a quiz on what we hate the most. I choose the good stuff for the first two, and Francis for the third. Francis' fight is literally the same exact fight as his first fight, and I did it first try, and honestly, it was a waste of complete another time, now that I think about it. Now it's time to fight Mimi in her other form. Story reasons make Peach the sole user in this fight. Not that it matters, since this fight is just as much as a joke as the one in Chapter 2. You can stun lock her once again, but after the first and third hits, I played it safe and let her do her spin attack since she couldn't hurt me anyway. And the startup for that move is insanely fast. After Peach dies, but not really, we continue on to the next level. 8-3. After more 3Ding, we come across the hardest level in the castle, and probably the hardest in the game. This place has some silly gimmicks in place we have to do, like following certain paths and getting keys. Dementio copies will be assaulting us the entire time in this room, and while they can hit us in 3D, their hitboxes are pretty tiny and they don't spawn in 3D at all. 3D is our greatest weapon here, and we need to make sure we wait every time between flips to get the most out of it. After more Koopa Strikers, we go into the block maze room with Luigi. These shadow guys will continuously spawn until death, and can easily snipe you when you don't expect it. Once again, Dottie is your friend. If you are small, nothing will spawn, and you can plow through no problem at all. After another maze room, we come to another mirror room, but there are no Dementios in this room with murderous intent. So dodge the long red guys, grab the key, and now it's time for Dementio himself. After 7 intermissions and 5 minutes of wasted time, Dementio fights us himself. Dementio is the hardest boss in the game, for all the right and wrong reasons. First off, we have to fight him as Luigi. Now that on paper honestly doesn't sound like a problem, but for some other reason, Bowser can have pixels, Peach can have pixels, but Luigi doesn't have pixels. This means we have very few options on for how to handle this fight. Another problem is Dementio himself, as he's gotten a major upgrade. In addition to his last fight's moveset, he can now hide in 3D and safely snipe you, and he can now split into 3 clones, with those 3 clones shooting triple magic shots. Not only can he overwhelm you whenever he wants, but if you fail, you have to do that entire chase sequence all over again. And those sequences have enemies in them as well. This fight is an absolute mess on an already hard level. Best thing to do is when he shifts into 3D, wait under him with a super jump and hit him when he comes back to 2D. Super jump does double damage, so it speeds up the fight considerably. If he splits into clones, quickly super jump into one when they shoot and pray it's the right one. If it's not and there are 3 clones, you might as well just hit the reset button. If you get lucky enough, you can get past and defeat him, and we can finally continue on. As the only one hero left, we go into the last level, 8-4. This is it, guys, the final level. This is pretty much the ultimate use 3D level here. No, seriously, use 3D for everything in this level. First room, second room, third room, and the maze, which is insanely easy if you know where to go. We now approach the final door, and now we face the final boss, Count Bleck. Lucky Boy here is quite a foe also. Before anything, we need to pretend to hit him for a few times, which is easily achievable with Throw. Then with the 4 heroes back together, we smash his shield and the real fight begins. Bleck attacks by teleporting and flying around, slowing down time, shooting cube portals, making a giant cube portal to suck you in, and a red cube dash attack. Where he teleports and what he does is completely random, so you need to adapt to what he does. I find it better to stay at the top since being under him is far more better for attacking. I also went with Bowser this time to speed up the fight since I don't really like it too much. Top 3 hardest boss in the game for sure. He's not too bad, you get into a rhythm and find him quickly before he does anything annoying. After a painful amount of hits, he goes down, but psych, of course he's not the final boss, that would be too easy. Instead, Dementio steals the show and takes the evil art as his own, forming with Luigi, Super Dementio. Same verse, same as the first, we need to fake hit him a few times to make the fight progress. After some cutscenes, we can now fight him. Now if you expected some super awesome final battle with a lot of suspense, you're clearly in the wrong video. Go up and hit him once and you should start to fly in the air. Take this time to go up to the door and position yourself here until he locks on. Now climb up the blocks to the highest one and switch to Bowser. When his head reaches the most right, jump left, press A lightly a few times and watch as Dementio gets demolished the saddest way possible. With Dementio humiliated, Tippy and Bleck dead, and all worlds saved, the no-hit run is successfully completed. Now first off, before I say my usual thing, I want to heavily thank AARAN for inspiring me to do this challenge in the first place. Without him, I don't think this video would even exist. He also has a no damage run of the same game, and also did a video like this, so if you want to see his own run, it'll be in the end sleeve of this video in the description. Like I usually say, if you like this video, let me know, and if you don't like this video, also let me know and tell me what I can do to improve. I thought this was a decent challenge overall, but as far as Paper Mario games go, I really think this might be my last one. I think maybe it's time to move on to a different game series. Anyway, I'll see you guys in my next challenge video.